This is Riverfront Stadium, where a local Cincinnati boy made good. Here, Pete Rose played on 4 pennant-winning teams, 2 championship teams, and surpassed Ty Cobb as baseball's all-time hit leader. This is also the place Pete Rose self-destructed. Through that dugout is the Cincinnati Reds clubhouse. There, baseball investigators say he associated with known bookmakers and bet night after night. Never definitively proven were their assertions that he bet on baseball, even on the Cincinnati Reds. Rose vehemently denies he did that, but the late Commissioner Bart Giamatti put it this way.
One of the game's greatest players has engaged in a variety of acts which have stained the game, and he must now live with the consequences of those acts.
Good to see you, sir.
How you doing?
Good.
Rose is now starting over. After being banned from baseball for gambling, after being imprisoned for tax evasion, trying to ease the pain he caused his wife, Carol, and his 4 children, in particular his namesake, Pete Jr., and 6-year-old Tyler. Pete, what was the rock bottom day?
Let's see. It was a tie. I think it was a tie. I think it was when I got back home after being sentenced. The morning I left.
Not the day you were suspended?
No, no, because all I could think about is the static my son was going to take.
And he did?
Yeah, and that was rough on me. Because he's only this big.
Yeah, nursery school, what happened?
Well, you know, I mean, kids that call his dad a convict and a jailbird and stuff like that. So, you know, because kids can be very cruel and not even know what they're saying. And my son, Pete, the ball player, took a lot of static, too. I mean, he's trying to play baseball in the minor leagues and make himself a good living. And the day I got suspended, he was playing in Durham, and people, you know, a whole group of people stood up and waved $5 bills. You know, I mean, that's not right. I mean, things like that, regardless of what they think about me, you can't take it out on a 19-year-old kid, regardless of what his name is. There's probably times he wished he didn't have the name Pete Rose. But there's a lot of advantages to that and a lot of disadvantages. In the last year and a half, it's been mostly disadvantages.
Now that he's done his time, Rose is trying to take advantage of all the time he has. Whenever he can, he watches Pete Jr.'s games in the Florida State League.
Come on, watch your ball. Straight ahead. You gotta hit it hard, boy. Come on.
Throws batting practice to Tyler in a local park.
There it is. Well, that's a hammer. That's a good one to quit on.
Or races go-karts with him down the block. All done with the same intensity with which Rose played the game. In 5th gear, foot to the floor, full speed ahead.
Come on, give him some spinach. Man, you got him on diets? Huh?
The same enthusiasm, it is said, he's brought to the community service work he's doing in Cincinnati as part of his sentence.
We got any more cornbread? I disagree with the judge when he gave me my sentence, but now that I've had time to think about the judge giving me that community service after I got out of prison, it really helped me. I mean, the community service working with the school system, the community service working at the boys club has really helped me to grow up more as a man.
You know, I'm fairly easy at this, but I'm compelled to ask Charlie Hustle if this is a hustle.
Is this a hustle?
Yeah.
No, I don't have time for this. I mean, I got 2 young kids, one 2 and one 6, and you know, I got a lot of making up to them. I guess that's the one good thing about not being in baseball. I'm going to have time to see these 2 youngsters grow up. I went to my first kindergarten graduation a couple weeks ago. I got tired of hearing old MacDonald had a farm. But that's part of their life. I mean, it's not no part of a hustle. It's part of being legitimate.
But like his work at the boys club in Cincinnati, which he says he will continue even after he no longer has to, it is also designed to restore his good name, to repair his image. The message being that his 5 months in a prison camp in Marion, Illinois, for that tax evasion conviction, did change him, that he does deserve a second chance. You've got a PR problem, and I understand you've got to solve it, and I assume I'm part of your strategy?
I don't need PR. I mean, I need to be a good citizen, and being a good citizen is giving back. And, you know, I don't know what you have to go through or what you have to do before people will accept the fact that you're sorry that you did something.
I'll have to admit, I rather admired that speech you made to that judge, because in this country lately, the road to redemption by celebrity after celebrity who has been caught cheating or dealing or whatever is littered with people who say the booze did it, the drug did it, my upbringing did it, and you simply said,
I did it.
I did it.
I did it. I did it. I mean, I did it, and I'm not proud of it by any stretch of the imagination, but I understand it, and I think I went and I did my thing like a man.
Do you think you've suffered enough?
Well, I don't think people in on the case or ordeal, whatever you want to call it, I don't think they have any idea how much I suffered, how much I've lost. I don't think people ever even think about that. I'm not even talk about $1 million a year job, but everything you stood for, everything that you loved your whole life, that you continue to love, is taken from you. Going to prison for 5 months, going to a halfway house for 3 months, which is worse than prison. Worse than prison. Be honest, believe it or not. More confining than prison. The humiliation you put your family through, some of your dear friends. I think that's why I get this crawl when I hear that I did all this because of betting on baseball. It just really irks me. That all the money and all the time and all the effort and everything I've lost was to try to prove I didn't bet on baseball. And finally I get an agreement that says I didn't, and yet everybody still believes I did.
After a highly publicized 6-month investigation, Major League Baseball's chief investigator, John Dowd, issued a report that said the testimony of witnesses, documentary evidence, and telephone records all revealed that Rose had bet on baseball games, including Reds games, typically $2,000 a game. To this day, Rose angrily disputes that, saying that some of his chief accusers were in the process of plea bargaining their own cases when they gave damaging testimony against him. And the agreement he signed with the commissioner's office in 1989 did not find that Rose bet on baseball. But right after the deal was struck, Bart Giamatti offered his personal opinion on the subject.
I am confronted by the factual record of Mr. Dowd, and on the basis of that, yes, I have concluded that he bet on baseball.
How shocked were you when Bart Giamatti offered his personal opinion?
I was shocked. I mean, you could tell I was shocked when he said that. I had 3 or 4 lawyers in the room, and we just sunk down. We couldn't believe that he did this. But there was nothing saying that he couldn't do that. You know, he didn't do anything that was wrong. He just broke the faith of the agreement, the spirit of the agreement. I've never heard a judge say, Jane Pauley, you are not guilty of murder in the 1st degree, but I think you killed the person. That's exactly what he did. You're not guilty of betting on baseball. I'll sign this agreement, but I think you did.
Why did you sign that agreement? Why didn't you say, listen, guys, I'm innocent here?
I said that.
Then why'd you sign?
What's the sense in carrying on a losing battle? The losing battle is they had me because of my admissions. That's why I was suspended from baseball, because of the things I admitted, you know, betting heavily on other sports than baseball.
People think you went to jail for betting on baseball.
Absolutely, you're absolutely right. And it's about time that people start getting it right. I was suspended from baseball for betting on football and basketball. And I admitted that I did that.
Let me ask you this, because it's real fundamental about whether people will ever be able to see evidence to prove that you did or did not bet on baseball. You're a man with a gambling disorder. As a manager of a baseball team, you had an edge. A gambler is going to want the edge. Why should I believe that you had the discipline not to use the edge you had?
One thing, I was never criticized as a manager of how I run the game. And I think if you're a desperate man and you're gambling on your team, you would do things that are desperate. Desperate people do desperate things, and I never did anything desperate as a manager of the Reds. I thought I did a hell of a job as a manager of the Reds.
Generation from now, are they still going to be saying, what do you think, Pete Rose bet on baseball?
Oh, I don't know. I can't, as far as I'm concerned, it's a closed deal.
People like me so want you to be innocent. need it?
Well, I am innocent about certain things, and I'm guilty about other things. And obviously, I'm guilty about the things I admitted to, but no way did I bet on baseball, and I'll never admit I did.
Question. Polygraph. Did anybody ever say take a polygraph test?
No. No, but my accuser took one and failed it.
What about a polygraph? Would you?
Would I what?
Take one.
Would I take one? No, I wouldn't take one, because it's a closed issue as far as I'm concerned.
When we come back, Pete Rose talks about life in prison. As you've heard, Pete Rose did not go to prison for gambling, but it helped get him there. Rose was convicted of tax evasion. He failed to report some of what he made at baseball card and memorabilia shows, and some of what he won gambling at the racetrack. What was prison like for someone who had been celebrated, even idolized here in his hometown and around the country?
It was an experience, and an experience I'll never forget. My 5 months at Marion, USP Marion, which is the #1 prison in the United States of America. I was at the camp, of course. The bad guys were across the street. That was probably, without a question, the most wasted 5 months of my life, the longest 5 months of my life, the most humiliating 5 months of my life, and probably in a lot of ways the most experiencing 5 months of my life.
Were there bars?
Where I worked, there were, and I worked in the welding department. 75 of us from the camp were like, we supported the main prison because they couldn't get out of their cells and work, so someone had to do the work. So we went to the main prison every day, and going in and out of the prison, you were searched 6 times. You were searched 2 times going in, once going to lunch, once coming out of lunch, and 2 times leaving the prison.
Was it deliberate? Did you cheat on your taxes deliberately?
No, because let me tell you something. If anybody's got any common sense, if you're going to cheat on your income tax, you're going to try to cheat more than 6.5%. You know as much about the judicial system as I do, and 999 guys out of 1,000 who pay 94% of their taxes don't go to prison. I underpaid by 6.5%.
Well, what about the stories about paper bags full of cash at the memorabilia shows you? Oh, you
don't have enough. Sure, you can get paid cash sometimes at card shows, but you sign for the money. I mean, you can get $10,000 at a card show, and it's all singles. It's going to be a paper sack. We don't want to start getting into the allegations because you don't have enough time to go over all the allegations. I was a money launderer. I was a drug dealer. I had drugs in my basement. I beat up bookies' kids. I did this, I did that. But after every agency in this country investigated me in 1989, what did they come up with? That I underpaid my taxes by 6.5%.
Pete Rose has always played the percentages, on and off the field.
Here he is, Pete Rose, #1 4. Now, there's a limited edition of these. Pete has signed every one for us.
On the very night he was suspended from baseball in 1989, he appeared on a cable network selling autographed bats and balls.
I look like a hitter, you know.
He signed the sweet spot.
He's still at it today.
There you go, pal.
Despite all that's gone wrong, Rose remains a big draw, appearing at shows all over the country, like this one in Atlanta last month. Appearances that can earn him several $1,000s.
Can he get 2 autographs? Each autograph is $17.
The difference now, Rose says, is that he's paid by check to avoid any possible appearance of impropriety. But could gambling get him in trouble again? Especially given published reports that he used to bet $10,000 a race. Did you ever bet $10,000 on a race?
Absolutely not.
Never, ever, not?
I can tell you, I can look at the camera and say the most I've ever bet on any race is $2,000. The most. The most in one race.
You've got a gambling disorder.
I had one.
No.
Well, yeah, I have it arrested, I guess is the way to say it. I mean, it's under control. It's under control.
You call it a gambling disorder, which is kind of a less charged word than addiction.
Well, and that's just me, because I don't know what the heck I'm talking about. See, I always thought that if you had a gambling addiction, that you couldn't go home until everything was gone in your pocket. Or if it was Monday, you had to wait Tuesday to gamble again. If it was Tuesday, you got to gamble on Wednesday. That wasn't the way it was with me.
How was it?
I gambled when I had time, to do things.
Recreationally?
Yes, I mean, I gamble on Sundays because the games are on TV.
The descriptions of what you were up to sound more like a gambling frenzy.
I used to think the Monday Night Football was to get even for Sunday. I did. I mean, but all the friends that I know were the same way. I'm talking about business people. I'm talking about lawyers. I'm not talking about the scuzzbags I hung around with. I'm talking about people in the everyday world.
You're not the world's best judge of character, are you?
Well, I had a problem with that. I give everybody a chance. And what happened to me this one winter, the winter of '84, I started going to this Gold's Gym and really working out to get in great shape. And it seems like these guys were there to help me. I mean, they knew all about the machines, they knew all about diets, they knew all about repetitions, how many to do and stuff. And if I wanted to be there at 8 in the morning or 8 at night or 12 at night, they'd be there to help me out. And, you know, I befriended them because they were nice to me.
Among the guys Rose befriended were Ron Peters, Paul Jansen, and Tommy Giosa, all of whom later served time for either drug peddling or tax evasion, or both. All of whom Rose now says lied to investigators about his gambling activities to try to save their own necks. Weren't friends of yours in baseball telling you, these guys are no good, get out? Because they were hanging around in the clubhouse.
No one. Because no one told me they were no good. Because, to be honest with you, most of the players like these guys because all they did is talk about physical fitness. And that's, players today are physical fitness crazy. And these guys would get the players the different kind of vitamins. I can name you I won't, but I can name you 3 or 4 players that got vitamins from these guys. Legal vitamins, but stuff good for your body, stuff to make you strong, because regardless of what you want to believe, bodybuilders know about taking care of their body. They know how to preserve their body for many years.
And so what began as an effort by Rose to preserve his career, which by 1984 was in decline, ended in almost personal ruin 6 years later, when, after his suspension for gambling and conviction for tax evasion, Rose finally faced facts. He was a compulsive gambler in need of help. You're not saying to me that everybody bets, I bet, I didn't have a problem. You're saying everybody bets, I bet, I had the problem.
I can't worry about this guy or this guy. I had to worry about myself. And when I analyzed the problems I had because of gambling, you know, I had to look up and accept the fact I had a problem. I had to overcome it. Because fortunately for me, I believe, good, bad, or indifferent, this situation happened to me and it saved me. This whole situation saved me. Because, you know, I might end up gambling everything. I don't think I would have, but I might have.
These days, Rose says he isn't gambling on anything. His public appearances are carefully orchestrated by a team of advisors he's assembled. The people he associates with are closely screened. The plan to get reinstated into baseball and voted into the Hall of Fame is to go slow. Rose is beginning to get back out into the public eye. He was besieged by autograph seekers at a minor league ballpark in South Florida, and just last month, he attended his first major league game since his banishment, even buying his own ticket. Organized baseball is watching closely.
Ladies and gentlemen, baseball's all-time hit leader and one of the greats of the game is returning home himself, Pete Rose.
Recently, the commissioner's office investigated Rose's appearance at a minor league park in Reading, Pennsylvania, where he paid tribute to a former teammate, Mike Schmidt.
Action.
Now look, Carl, I can be a player manager as good as you can any day of the week. You look at this.
And when Rose played the part of Ty Cobb during the filming of a television movie, the commissioner's office refused to allow him to wear a Detroit Tigers uniform.
See it my way. That's the truth.
Good luck to you, buddy.
Still, Rose remains confident that if he reconfigures his life, as Giamatti put it 2 years ago, Giamatti's successor, Fay Vincent, or his successor eventually will show leniency and reinstate him into baseball. Pete, you are the 15th player to be suspended from baseball. The previous 14, not one of them was ever reinstated.
Every case is a different case. Every commissioner is a different commissioner. I just happen to think that Mr. Vincent is a very understanding man. He's a compassionate man. He loves the game like I do. He cares about the game, which I do. Although I'm not in the game, I still care for the game. It's given me everything that I've received in life, or everybody I've met, or every place I've been to, is because of the game of baseball. And because I'm not in it per se, I'm not going to turn my back on it. And I don't think baseball in general will turn its back on me.
How do you get through this period of uncertainty? And
obviously, I'm uncertain about when I'll apply for reinstatement. That's not my top priority. Obviously, I'm uncertain if I'm going to make the Hall of Fame, but that's not my top priority. I don't mean to say that to make it sound like I'm not interested in either one, because obviously they both would be very important to me, but it's just not time right now. It's just not time. I don't know when the time might be. I think a lot of people will know when it's time.
sooner or later, Pete, they'll make a Pete Rose movie.
I hope so, and you know, I hope I'm around to see it. And sooner or later, I think you'll agree that it would be a lot better movie if it ends up in Cooperstown, because if I'm not mistaken, most of your good movies have good endings, happy endings.
I'm Jane Pauley. We'll be back in New York 2 weeks from now with another edition of Real Life. Good night from Cincinnati.
I wanted to speak to Pete Rose. He told me that you'll play until midnight. Is that right?
I'll play anywhere, anytime, anyhow.